All right, today we're going to go somewhere that, let's be honest, most of us spend our lives trying to run away from. We are diving deep into On the Heights of Despair, a work that doesn't just peek into the void, it moves right in. This is a journey into what's left when all of the usual stuff, hope, dreams, ambition, is completely stripped away.
And this is the spark that lights the whole fire. You see, this isn't just someone feeling a bit down. This is a radical, fundamental challenge to the very idea of a meaningful life. Everything we take for granted starts to unravel from this one simple question.
So the first step on this path? Total renunciation. But it's really important to get this. It's not about giving up because you've lost. No, it's a conscious choice to step away from the world's ambitions because they've lost their, quote, seductive charm. It's kind of like looking at a game you used to be obsessed with and suddenly realizing the rules just don't matter anymore.
And this isn't just a mood, you know? It's not a bad day. It's a permanent shift in perspective, one that's forged right at the absolute limits of what a person can experience. The idea here is that once you've been to those edges, the normal things that drive us, getting a promotion, being popular, they all just look hollow.
So how in the world do you keep going after a realization like that? Well, the only way out is to take all that internal agony and turn it into something external. Creativity, whether it's writing, art, or philosophy, becomes this desperate act of survival. You literally objectify the pain, give it a shape, and in doing that, you get a little bit of breathing room, a temporary escape from the horror of it all. Okay, so you've renounced the world outside. There's only one direction left to go: inward. But this isn't about escaping reality. It's actually the opposite. It's a path toward facing it more directly, without any filters. And that's the path of solitude.
This whole philosophy really redefines what solitude even is. It's not just about being alone in a room. It's a tool, a way of seeing. When you get to this state of absolute isolation, kind of suspended between the earth and the sky, you get what's called a fearfully lucid intuition, a direct, unfiltered, and honestly terrifying awareness of where you really stand in the universe.
I mean, that is a pretty shocking claim, right? It just flips everything we're normally told about community and connection being the path to enlightenment. Instead, the argument here is that real spiritual insight is only possible when you are completely, utterly alone, cut off from what the Source calls the wound of life.
So what's the goal of this kind of solitude? It's definitely not self-improvement. You're not going on a retreat to recharge and come back to the world. No, its only purpose is to fully meditate on our basic isolation, to really feel our cosmic loneliness, and to simply await the end, not with fear, but with a clear, calm awareness.
So once solitude has stripped away every last illusion, there's one truth that becomes impossible to ignore. It's the constant nagging presence of death. And not as some event way off in the future, but as the basic condition of being alive, right here, right now.
And this is the big one. This is the central truth that, according to this philosophy, most of us have to willfully ignore just to get out of bed in the morning. We walk around acting like we're free, but from this point of view, we're all just prisoners on death row. Every single breath is just one step closer to the inevitable.
And here you can really see the two mindsets side by side. On the one hand, you have the average man, who lives in this world of what's called naive charm, totally shielded from any real metaphysical dread. And then on the other hand, you have the conscious man. For him, knowing that death is always there has poisoned everything. It destroys all his enthusiasm and makes all of life's little charms feel completely empty.
So how does somebody get to this incredibly bleak place? Well, the path there is through profound suffering. It might start with a serious illness or a long, deep depression, experiences that show you that death isn't just an idea, it's a living presence. That leads to a revelation that shatters any naivete you had, and it finally hardens into this unshakable conviction. Your fate is sealed, and there's no escaping it.
This feeling of despair really boils down to a simple but absolutely crushing equation. The more you become aware of how infinite the universe is, the more painfully you feel how finite you are. It's the horror of realizing just how small, how fragile, and how temporary you are against this backdrop of an endless, totally indifferent cosmos.
Now, you would think this journey just ends in a black hole of despair, right? But in this final kind of crazy twist, it morphs into something totally different, a weird, radical kind of freedom that you can only find by completely accepting nothingness. Which brings us to the ultimate logical endpoint of this entire line of thought. Stated as plainly as it gets, nothing is important. Not suffering, not joy, not history, not love. When you do the final math, it all just dissolves. And just listen to the tone of that rejection. It's not angry or bitter, it's calm. It's a serene choice. It comes from a place of being so deeply convinced that the world is ultimately meaningless that you can just let go of everything without fear because you realize there was nothing solid to hold on to in the first place.
And this has a staggering real-world consequence. If nothing is ultimately important, then all the big ideas we build our societies on, morality, progress, justice, belief, they become meaningless. From this viewpoint, no idea, no matter how noble it seems, is worth a single human sacrifice.
And this is the ultimate paradox of this whole philosophy. On the one hand, you're totally free. If nothing has any real value, then all the rules and duties are just illusions. But on the other hand, this absolute freedom is also a perfect emptiness. With nothing to strive for, nothing to achieve, you are liberated into a complete and total void.
And there it is, the final, definitive nail in the coffin. This closes the door on any hope that maybe, someday, you'll find a hidden purpose. The argument is that meaninglessness isn't just a phase we're in, it's the fundamental, unchangeable nature of reality itself.
And so, this is where we're left with the one question this whole journey poses. Is this descent into nothingness the ultimate tragedy, the stripping away of everything that makes life worth living? Or is it a profound, maybe terrifying form of liberation, the only way to ever be truly free from illusion? The answer, perhaps, is waiting for us on the heights of despair itself.